Lovely to have you here. It's New Year. I wonder whether you'd like to do a little bit today of the Sankalpa meditation. Are you interested in that? It's where you kind of go, basically, to explain it quickly, it's to you bring your brainwaves into a meditative state, and so then in that way that we connect to infinite consciousness, it can just arise for you. So it's not you telling yourself, yet it comes from you, what resonates with your spirit. And it may come today. It's not that you necessarily that it does. It may come over time when you practice this at the beginning of the year, or you could do it any time in the year, really, just to help you to be able to tap into what really resonates with your spirit. So it's quite different to resolution. You know, resolutions are often like, oh, something wrong with me. And so I've got to like improve in some way, you know? And what the understanding in yoga is that, you know, I think I've said this to you before, that we have the physical body, the subtle body, and the soul body. You could think of it in that way. And the soul is our causal body. And you could think of it as described in a way like how, you know, that Rumi quote of, you are not a drop of the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop. So when we just think we're our physical body, we really identify with that. And we identify often with like beliefs that maybe weren't even ours in the first place, but somehow they become ours, you know? And so in yogic terms, it's referred to actually as the false identity. And when we get really like lost in the false identity, it comes because of what's called avidya, which is not knowing the truth of who you are. And it's basically the human condition. So just so you know, if you ever feel like you're in pain, suffering, things are difficult, you're not the only one, because it's almost like what happens to us as humans. And even still that does happen, because our senses pull us out and we go out into duality and we feel like we're all separate, right? That's what happens. We still have this understanding deep in us that there is more than that. You know what I mean? It's even like people, and this is not religious, by the way, but people who, when they're really in a difficult time and they're like, oh God, they start praying to God. You know what I mean? That sort of, and please, I just want to repeat, I'm not saying that it's religious at all. It is actually tapping into the universal forces, kind of knowing, you just have this knowing that it's more than your individual self, in terms of the false identity self. Do you get me? And so basically the soul is where we tap into all inspiration. And so then we can bring that into our life, into everything we're doing. So then we feel inspired, rather than just like, we're just like going through the motions, you know? So anyway, just that was a brief description of Sankalpa. It's like that which resonates with your spirit. You could think of it as your deepest intention. It really relates to your dharma, and I hope I'm not being confusing the way I'm saying it, because it is your individual gifts. It's the fact that, yes, you are the drop, but you are the entire ocean in the drop. All of us need what each person's individual gifts are, you see? And again, even saying those words, sometimes that'll take us into the false identity thing of ego. Long story, basically, it's really just, it's so helpful for us to go into the no thing that's not form, that's without form, formless. And our brainwaves know how to do that, because that's what happens when we go to sleep. We start going into alpha waves at the beginning, and then we go into delta waves when we sleep. In meditation, we actually go into theta waves. So we're actually going into these very, very slow brainwaves, which you can think of it as like a dreaming, when you're dreaming. So when we do this practice, it's like it's like let yourself dream. And just by the way, you know, this teaching, no effort in this path goes to waste, that you don't have to come up with a Sankalpa one word today, okay? The practice of just letting yourself surrender and just being open to that no thing, right? just allowing for inspiration is so incredibly powerful for us, and literally transforms us and frees us from that false identity where we always feel like we've got to prove ourselves, and we've got to fix ourselves, and we've got to fix other people, and what's wrong with me, and what's wrong with you, and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So we just drop all those questions, because we go beyond that into, I guess, I'm trying to describe it as like a dream state, but there's something incredibly healing about that. So anyway, that was just a long description to explain. If you want to, we may do this at the end of the class. You could always just lay down and just do a restorative pose instead if you don't want to. But I just thought I'd encourage you. So let's just close your eyes now and bring the back of your hands onto your knees. And just let your forehead relax. You're smoothing between your eyebrows. And just letting your ears relax, as if you're kind of smoothing around your ears. And, you can perhaps just allow the question of, what is my intention? What do you want to tend inwardly to? What is your sankalpa? You don't have to have the answer. And bring your palms together at your chest and set your intention. We can join together for one Om. When you feel ready, we can gently open your eyes, and we can bring your right arm over to the right and let your left arm float up and reach up and over. You can always do it laying down if you want to. And just letting your left sitting bone rest into the ground as you lengthen through your fingertips. And then releasing over to the other side. Take your time. Yesterday, because we did this, whole long 2-hour thing about what I've just been talking to you about, and these two people came, and I hadn't seen them for ages, and they said to me that they had come to that same thing in 2019, at the beginning of 2019. So it was a long time ago, obviously. And they said that it was just incredible. They said it changed their whole year. And it really wasn't until the end of the year that, when one of them realized, they remembered what their word was. Then we'll bring both arms up and interlace your fingers and draw your first fingers upwards. And this is why I wanted to tell you this, is because one of them said to me, it was like I didn't even realize it was happening. It was just, it was so easy. And that's the whole idea of what sankalpa is. It comes to you from your infinite awareness. We plant it in the seed of your unconscious. So it's like an effortless driver, if you like, and let the knuckles go into your head. The thing is that we have drivers all the time unconsciously, right? Have you ever had that thing where you're like, oh, how did I get into this situation? Well, I hate to tell you, you were there. You ever had that thing where you're like, oh, the only common denominator here is me. And then we'll let your arms come up and then go across over to the right into a twist. So you can let your hand rest onto the ground or onto a block. Just let your right ribs move back a little and the left ribs move forward. And can you sense all the way up to where the top of your head is, that point that we call Brahmarandra, where the soft fontanelle was when you're a baby. On the breath in, let your arms float up and then all the way across over to the other side. So you can just sense where is the very top of your head, and see if you can align that point, that area, just align it through the center of your body down to the base of your torso. So by kind of like looking for that internal central line, you can perhaps adjust your posture around that. Beautiful. And then coming back to center, letting your arms float up, and we'll start to come forwards a little bit. If that's okay, if it bothers your back, you can always just lean back instead, but you might like to bring your bolster around if you'd like, or a block. If it's easy for you to come forwards, you can just rest your hands into your forehead, maybe resting onto your forearms. Just see how that feels. You can also do this just seated upright or leaning back. Again, can you sense that line, the top of the skull and the base of the torso? For a few breaths. When you feel ready, we'll slowly come up and change to the other side. Just, well, by that I mean put the other ankle in front if you have your legs crossed. If you find that it's bothering your knee, obviously just let your leg come out. We don't want to be straining anywhere. You could just sit maybe with your hands behind you if it's bothering you, to go forwards if it's easy. And just kind of let your body just rest in this position. You don't have to hold yourself up. You know, it's interesting that we talk about in the chakras, which, by the way, that is a way for you to experience the subtle body. And we need to experience the subtle body to know the soul. It's the way in, if you like. So the chakras, the energy centers, the first one at the base of the torso, Muladhara chakra, sometimes it's called the root chakra, as in like roots, like a plant. It's interesting how, like, if you see an image of like sciatic nerves down the legs, they actually look like roots. Isn't that interesting, right? Anyway, it's interesting to me. When you're ready, let's come forwards and come onto your hands and knees now. And so we're going to just rock forwards and back a little bit. And then make a big circle around, just letting your neck and shoulders be involved. So the lower three chakras relate to your like surviving in the world. And you can think of the heart center is the fulcrum between the lower three chakras, and then the higher three chakras, which relate to wisdom and inspiration. When you're ready, we're going to tuck the balls of the feet and like really push down into the balls of the feet. You could just stay like that. If it's fine for you, we'll sit back onto your heels, if that's okay for your feet and your knees. Just see if that's fine, kind of stretching through the sole of the foot. And then if it's fine, we'll actually kind of squat onto the ball of the feet. If that's okay. If you've got any knee issues, I would leave that out actually. So you're just like feeling down into your heels, let your sitting bones go down, bringing your knees back down again, and let sitting bones rest down, back release. And then we'll come onto the hands and knees, and can you keep pressing into the ball of the feet like that as we move into cow? So you're going pressing down into the ball of the feet, lengthening the crown of the head away from the base of the torso. Then as you breathe out, press the top of the feet down, curling under, really press into the top of the feet, and then we'll sit back onto your heels. So just if that, again, so long as your ankles and knees are okay with this. And just kind of notice if you're sort of doing that a little bit, and just let your lower back release, let your feet rest down. Obviously, some of our ankles just are like, no, thank you. So please don't strain. It depends kind of how your bones are as well. And if it's all right, if this is super easy, you can maybe lean back a little bit, maybe it's a little balance, and then coming back onto the hands as well. And then we'll curl under, and can you press into the top of the feet as much as you just were when you were back like that. And then we'll move through the cat curls. So on the in-breath, push off the ball of the feet, and on the out-breath, curling under. And I just kind of wanted to show you how, like, it's amazing because you think hands and knees, it'd be obvious that you would have weight into the feet, but some of us don't mean to, but we almost uproot ourselves. Do you feel that? And it actually feels much more secure and stable when you feel into your feet more. And that's what I mean by it being the root chakra. Take your time. We're going to lift up into downward dog if you wish to. And, you know, one of the reasons, there's like about 10 trillion reasons why downward dog is such an amazing posture and why we do it so much. One of the reasons is because it is actually having an effect for you down through the roots, if you think of the sciatic nerves, and you're actually tipping the pelvis, and the yogis refer to the area of Svadhisthana as the seat of your unconscious. And that's why we, like in the Sankalpa meditation that we'll do, we actually like embed the Sankalpa into the seat of the unconscious in the area of Svadhisthana, which is in front of your sacrum. When you're already bringing your knees down, and we'll come back into child's pose. But, you know, I kind of think of it a little bit like it's like you're tipping that area in downward dog and releasing all the way down through the legs. So you may want to hold child's pose or come back up into downward dog. And, you know, maybe you want to bend the knees if that's better for you, to kind of lengthen a little more. Some of us will find that'll be easier to have that feeling of the ease through your pelvis. Just a couple more breaths here, if that's okay for you. Walking your hands back towards your feet into Uttanasana, forward bend. You might like to have your two blocks, depending on you, maybe a little bit in front of you, perhaps just next to your feet, maybe down a little. Just modify this to suit you. We'll be here for a few breaths. Just letting the breath go all the way out. All the way out. Asking you to release any tensions. Let the neck relax. Scalp relax. Take your time to walk your hands back out into downward dog. Can you let your gaze be just kind of soft and gentle, like as if you're looking in the direction of your navel? Just really, really gently. You may even want to close your eyes. When you're ready, bringing your knees down and coming back into child's pose. If it's better for you to be on hands and knees, then that's good too. We can think of our asana practice as like a savoring, nurturing. Can you feel the breath in your whole body breathing? Whole body breathing in, whole body breathing out. When you're ready, we'll move into Sphinx pose. So coming onto your tummy, bringing your forearms onto the ground. If you'd rather stay in child's pose, of course. So letting the forearms rest down if that's fine for you. You could maybe have them come more forwards if that is better for you, because we're going to hold it for a little bit. Some people like to have them back. Maybe you might even want to do a version like this. So just choose what is the nicest for you to be able to feel where is the top of your head and where is the base of your torso. And what can help you to feel that area of mulla is to feel your feet and actually press the top of your feet down. And I always find it funny because, like, obviously your top of your feet are on the ground, but do you notice how if you, where feel into my feet, press them down, it actually makes a difference, doesn't it? So it's like we become more conscious of what we're generally unconscious of. Just another breath in here. And then on the out breath, lifting up into plank, or perhaps you would rather hold Sphinx. So in plank, feel how you can really draw up your armpits away from the ground. Again, sense where the top of the head is. Think of that lengthening forwards and the base of the torso back, like you're lengthening through your center line. And then when you're ready, we'll move into downward dog. You might like to step your feet forwards, maybe bend your knees a little to come into downward dog. And can you notice the difference in downward dog, how you get that kind of ha feeling? Stepping your right foot forwards to come into a low lunge, so the back knee's onto the ground. Maybe you'd rather keep your hands down or into Anjali Mudra, or let your arms float up. And again, perhaps, can you get the feeling of pushing the top of the back foot down, the sole of the right foot down, let the crown of the head lift. And then when you're ready, bring your hands down and come into plank again. And think of lifting up through the armpits, up through the inner circle of the palms, and then moving back into downward dog and perhaps stepping your feet in downward dog. Take your time, step your left foot forwards to come into the low lunge, and just bring your hands onto the top of the pelvis, like just to here, and just check whether both sides feel even across or whether you've tipped a little bit, and just readjust. Then if you wish to bring your hands up, sorry, I'm distracting you, sorry, I'll move here. So finding the balance of both feet, like weight distributed between both feet evenly, the top of the back foot into the ground, sole of the front foot into the ground, that sense of the roots helps to stabilize you. Find the balance in the pelvis by feeling both sitting bones down and the top of the bowl of the pelvis even across. Take your time to step back into plank and then into downward facing dog. And holding in downward dog for a few breaths. Walk your hands back towards your feet. Inhale into flat back. Exhale into forward bend. Inhale, let your arms float all the way up, looking up. And exhale, palms by the side. And again, just feel into your feet. Can you feel all your 10 toes? Imagine you're kind of lengthening them forwards. Feel into the ball of the feet, the heels of your feet. Feel like you're making your feet longer and across, wider, and even between right and left. Feel how you can have the sense of the heels going down, the ball of the feet going down. Sense where the inner thighs are, the pelvic floor. Take your time, let the arms float up, gently looking up. On the out breath, coming into a forward bend. And as you go forwards, obviously you tend to tip a bit to the heels, but can you just readjust your weight to feel into the ball of the feet as much as the heels? Beautiful. Take your time to walk out into downward facing dog. And in downward dog, let's just do this version where we'll bring maybe even onto blocks if you like. We're going to bring, or onto your fingertips. Walk your hands enough back that you can let your heels go down. So you might want to be on your blocks, not your fingertips. You may need to have your hands a little closer to your feet before your heels will go down. Or maybe they could be a little bit more out, more like a puppy dog. So you feel the heels into the ground and the soles of the feet into the ground. Obviously, you're going to feel that way more in through the back of the legs, right? You can start to get that feeling of the roots into the earth. Let yourself breathe out. It's like you're making space for that. Excellent. When you're ready, we'll either come into ankle to knee laying onto your back or into pigeon, bringing the right knee forwards. But please, if you know that your knee is a little bit, you've got to give it extra care, come and lay onto your back with like this, your foot onto a wall or the ground, or hold onto your leg like this. Or we'll come into pigeon, maybe with your bolster in front. The back leg, by the way, you can have it straight back like I was just showing you, or you could have it more like knee next to your foot if you rather. You can kind of just experiment with this and see. I find it kind of funny that, reminds me of that song. I find it funny that the area of Svadhisthana chakra, which relates to your hips, pelvis, called the seat of the unconscious, when we do postures that are helping us to free this area, they're usually really blooming intense, don't you reckon? Do you feel like that, everyone? And it's like, there you are walking around fine, and then you do this and you're like, ah! Oh dear. The element in the second chakra is water. Sometimes when we do these kind of postures that are really like targeted into the hips, the pelvis area, we maybe feel more like brick. But see if you can just let yourself kind of spread out like water, like liquid pouring over the ground, just spreading out. Just do one block if you want. Just do one. That's okay. Take your time. We're going to change to the other side. And, just it's nice to come into it slowly just to check that it's fine for you. Maybe you may need some more props on this side. Maybe sometimes it's nice to do this if you're doing ankle to knee onto your back with your foot onto some blocks, or maybe onto your couch even. And again, can you just imagine water, freedom? Just letting yourself rest here. If you notice places where you're holding on, just let your loving awareness, presence, your nurturing, just be there. If you'd like to stay in this position for longer, then please do. And I encourage you to do that. If you would like to come to lay onto your back, if you're in pigeon, we'll do that. If you're laying next to the wall on your back, just stay there for now. You can let your legs just relax out into like a little baby shavasana for a moment. Just have your blocks handy though, because when you're ready, we'll come into this posture where you have the soles of the feet together and the knees out to the side. And you might like to put your blocks under your thighs like that. Or you might like to put the block under your feet. You sort of like lengthen your lower back a little and then bring the block under the feet. Some people like to do it like this with the block or bolster under the sacrum and lower back lengthened, and then the other block onto the feet. But there's no particular way to do this. So just whichever one you'd like to, if you haven't done it before. Sometimes it's nice to experiment. Another option, if you're not loving that, is you could sit with your back at a wall and then have the soles of the feet together like that. And your bottom right next to the wall, if you like. So this may not apply to you, perhaps you naturally are, feeling spacious and free and light and beautiful. But sometimes what I've noticed that some of us, when we start to release in this area of Svadhisthana, as I said, referred to as the seat of the unconscious, that we may notice that we tighten a little bit in our jaw or our shoulders or our neck. And again, not saying that you are doing that. I, in fact, hope that you're not. It's just if you do notice it. Sometimes just simply being aware and, your kind of kindness to yourself, a gentleness, like you can kind of soften into your hands and soften the skin in your hands and inside your hands. You can just let your body rest. So you let your body rest, your breathing often just naturally slows down. And as you perhaps feel that slowing down, it's like you can just let your shoulders relax down a little more. Into the back of your neck and back of your head. It's resting down. Letting your jaw relax down, your tongue rest down. You may like to rest here for longer. Otherwise, you may want to assist with your hands onto your legs to bring your knees closer together again. And if you have the block under your sacrum, just taking that out, let your legs slide apart again onto the ground. Just resting now. And some of us actually find that what started feeling like it was unbearable when we let ourselves soften and rest. We actually like it. You might like to bring both of your feet over towards the left of your mat now, keeping your bottom onto the ground, and also just let your shoulders come over to the left as well. We'll bring your arms overhead if that feels fine, and you could hold on to your right wrist with your left hand. You might like to put a bolster or something behind your arms if you have any shoulder issues, so that you can have your arms overhead easily. Remember, in this posture, we'd like to have both sides of your bottom down, both shoulders resting down. Just a feeling of opening down the right side. Sometimes it feels nice to cross the ankles or not, whichever you prefer. Again, you may want to stay in this posture for longer. Otherwise, when you're ready to, we'll come back to center and then over to the other side. So some of my friends maybe already know that they don't feel like sitting up to meditate in a little while. So you may just want to stay on one side for longer and do this for longer. If you're ready to, just bringing the feet across to the right, shoulders across over to the right. And let the left bottom rest down, left shoulder rest down. Can you sense the area of your sacrum, which is the kind of a flattish bone that's right down low in your spine, above the tailbone? As you're letting your body just rest here, and then do, of course, adjust if you need to. Can you sense across your sacrum? And just letting it rest down, like letting the ground hold your sacrum. Cradle. Cradle this bone that, the name corresponds to sacred. And this location of Svadhisthana chakra, the seat of the unconscious. Perhaps you might like to lay there for longer if you do feel ready to come out of this, and eventually we'll move to meditating. First of all, we'll just come onto your hands and knees and come into a forearm downward dog. So this is for my friends who want to sit in for the Sankalpa meditation. We'll come into this position for a while. I'm just going to show you another alternative if you would like to instead to not sit to meditate, is just to come into a twist over the bolster with the right side, the front. So you might like to do this instead, do the restorative twist on one side, then on the other side for a while, and then come into Viparita Karani. That's if you don't feel like coming to sit up to meditate, or just have a Shavasana for longer. But the rest of us, if you would like to practice a Sankalpa meditation, forearms onto the ground, lifting your hips up, let your head just kind of just rest in midair. It's not touching the ground here. And when you're ready, we'll bring your knees down onto the ground, letting your bottom sit back onto your heels. If that's comfortable, let your hands rest down. When you're ready to, we'll come to sit to meditate. So you may like to bring a bolster behind you, maybe a blanket under your feet. Just get really comfortable. We'll be sitting just for a little while and we'll begin the practice to release sometimes where energy can get sort of locked in our bodies. So we'll begin the practice to feel into the energy centers in your body. So just find a comfortable position for yourself. We just forgot to say to you, we're going to do some mudras. One of them will be this, I'll explain it to you, that's called Matangi Mudra. Another one is a Hamkara Mudra, where you're like holding a thumb and first finger together, point to your chest, rest there. I'll say them, you don't have to remember. Another one is we'll bring your thumbs to your ears and your middle fingers to touch at the top of the head. And another one is where we interlace all the fingers and the first finger goes out. So this is different to Matangi Mudra, which is with the middle finger out, okay? But I'll explain it, I'll say it, you don't have to remember. So the first mudra is Matangi. We'll interlace all your fingers, point the middle finger out. We're going to point this down to the ground. Feel the area of Muladhara as you chant L. So this is the area of the pelvic floor, perineum, L, L. Perhaps you can even feel that moving as you chant L, L, L. And Lam spreads your consciousness here. It's like you're feeling into this energy, Lam. And allowing this vortex of energy to open, Lam, Lam. Move the heel of the hands onto the area just above your pubic bone, and the middle finger is still kind of pointing downwards, just like not on such a strong angle. And if possible, you're just going to practice this whole meditation with your eyes closed. And just keep letting your senses come in. Sense this area of Svadhisthana as you chant V, like a V sound, V, V. And you may even find how the skin moves behind your hands, V, 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 as you make that sound, V. Vam, Vam, and just keep chanting that aloud, Vam, Vam. So you can let your senses come in and sense this energy, Vam, and feel your consciousness expanding, Vam, like you're bringing your conscious awareness into this area of the unconscious. Vam, Vam, Vam. Moving the heel of the hands to where your navel is now and the middle finger points outwards straight ahead. R, R. As you make that R sound, R, R, R. Feel the navel moving, the abdomen moving, Ram, Ram. Feel this powerful energy here, Ram, 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 Ram. Bring the base of the thumbs to the center of the chest, so the middle finger is kind of pointing upwards now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like a Y sound. Feel that. Bring your awareness, yeah, to the center of your chest. Yeah, yeah. Yam, 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 yam. Opening this energy here. It's like a bud of a flower blossoming. Yum of love. Yum of emotional freedom. Yum, yum, yum. Bring your first finger just to kind of rest on your chin. The energy in the throat center. Huh, huh. So you make the huh sound and H sound. Feel into your throat center, Vishuddha. Huh, H, H, hum, hum, hum. And then the thumbs touch the area above your eyebrow, above the bridge of the nose, the Ajna Bidana point. K, K, like you're knocking on the door of the forehead. K, K, moving inwards from your forehead. K, Kasham, Kasham, Kasham. Your consciousness spreading. Kasham, 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 Kasham. And now just letting your hands release open, bring the back of the hands onto the knees. Let your first fingers curl into the thumb, Unana Mudra. Bring the right hand into the air, bring the tip of the index finger to the thumb, Ahamkara Mudra, point to the center of your chest, touching the center of the chest on the outside, and then rest your hand there. This process helps you to come in like more and more internal, subtle body, like a dream. Sense the beating of your heart, this rhythm of your life. And internally, as you feel the beating of your heart, just repeating the mantra inside you, Om Ma. Om Ma. Keep letting yourself repeat this mantra, feel the vibration. Om Ma. Inside you. You're opening the place of your individual consciousness to receive your sankalpa. Om Ma. And you don't have to try. It's effortless. It's like as if you're asleep and dreaming. Tongue resting in your mouth, jaws relaxed, whole body, all the skin on your entire body soft. You're deep inside. Om Ma. Om Ma. Sankalpa, perhaps it's like it just floats up in your awareness. Maybe it's a feeling, a sense, a word. Let your right hand rest down to Unana Mudra on your leg and just let yourself rest like you're being supported in this sankalpa that resonates with your spirit. And bring your thumbs to your ears and the middle fingers up onto the top of the head. Just feel where they meet there. This mudra helps you to sense the screen of your mind. Just rest your awareness inwards from your forehead, downwards from your hands, visualizing the screen of your mind. And in your own handwriting, writing your sankalpa there on the screen. If it's in a word, in your own handwriting, writing that word. And just resting, like you're looking at the screen, If the word hasn't formed yet, that's fine. It will, just like you're watching the screen, ready for it to appear. Like you're joining with the universal forces. And bringing your fingers to interlace and pointing just the first finger out, and placing the thumbs onto the Ajna Bidana point of the forehead. Imagine that essence, the Sankalpa, embedding. Move your thumbs to your chin. This energy moving down through your throat chakra to your heart center. Bring the thumbs as the first finger points upwards. This inspirational energy flooding your heart center. The knowledge, wholeness, pure love. Bring the heel of the hands to the navel. First finger points outwards. Embedding the Sankalpa here. Heel of the hands down to the sacrum. First finger pointing down a little bit. Down into the seat of the unconscious. You now bring your first fingers and thumbs to touch and the middle fingers to touch together. This is Dhyana Mudra. So your middle ring and little fingers all point to each other, and then place the little fingers just above your pubic bone. Just let your awareness just rest down here into your pelvis, the seat of the unconscious. You're planting the seed deep. And imagine the Sankalpa, and perhaps it's a word or a feeling or a sense or an energy, planting deep inside you into the unconscious. You can imagine it beginning to take the form of red mist. And in this red mist, spreading through your body, flowing through your body, red, like rubies, spreading into all of your cells, your trillions of cells, communicating Sankalpa into your body, into your cells, like a dream. Feeling of dreaming, this beautiful red mist through your body, inside you, filling this ruby red mist to every cell, your whole body. And imagine the mist spreading through you to your skin, the skin on your entire body, and the red just becoming this beautiful, like rose gold. Red turning into rose gold. Imagine this permeating your skin on your entire body, every pore, this shining radiance of rose gold spreading through your skin and all around you. Like a vibration, a sense, an aura of rose gold spreading around you. And as it spreads further and further around you, behind you, in front of you, to the sides of you, below you, above you, it's beautiful rose gold. As it spreads further, imagine the rose gold is becoming golden. Golden. Spreading further, becoming white, like a white light. Beautiful aura. Deep inside you, red mist, becoming rosy gold, becoming golden and white light. Let the back of your hands rest onto your knees now. Let your awareness come inwards from your forehead, just behind the forehead into Ajna. Perhaps you feel the jyoti, the radiance there between the hemispheres of the brain. Consciousness naturally moves itself between the hemispheres of the brain, between your brain and the top of your head, and to the energetic space through Brahmarandra, the gate at the top of the skull, to infinite consciousness. Your soul. Formless oneness. Bringing your palms to rub together, just a little rub. And then move them apart. And then cup your hands over your eyes so that your fingertips touch up onto the top of your head and the base of the palms onto your eyes. And just feel that energy there, tejas, the brilliance pouring through the gates of your eyes into your brain. Bring your palms to Anjali Mudra, thumbs at your forehead. Just repeating to yourself the mantra Om Namah Shivaya, regrounding this Shiva wisdom into your central nervous system, to your being. Bring your palms one onto the other onto your throat, Samana Mudra, Om Ayim Saraswatiye Namaha. The energy of this vibration inside you of wisdom. Drag your hands down in that same position to the center of the chest. Palms together in Anjali Mudra. Om Namo Narayanaya. That vibration in your heart center. Drag your hands down from the center of the chest to your navel and one hand onto the other at your navel. Surya Mudra, clasping the hands together, palms touching. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's energy into every cell of oneness. Drag your hands down to the lower part of the belly, pressing in, and then bring the heel of the hands onto the top of the hips. Press the thumbs forwards, fingertips back, pushing down into where there's a tendon here. Let your head come forwards a little, bowing, and then rub down through your thighs, around your knees. You probably want to open your eyes a little now. Rub your shins, press down the back of the calves, squeeze your ankles, big squeeze on your ankles. Run down the line from your heels to each toe. You may want to take longer with this process, so go at your pace. You want to just really press to each toe from the heel. And we start with the big toe. And this whole process is like bringing that like no thingness, which that inspiration all the way down to your toes, which correspond to the first 5 chakras. And then we'll come to lay down onto your back and come into a little Setu Bandha. We'll lift the hips up. Especially if you were sitting cross-legged, it's nice to do this, using the muscles across your bottom to lift your hips. Take your time, lower down. When you're ready, put your feet wide. Gently drop one knee in and then the other knee in to internally rotate the hips. You may like to do that with one leg on top. When you're ready, we'll just gradually lay down into Shavasana. There may be something else you want to do first. Just feeling your own intuition guiding you so that you can just deeply rest. In peace. like sleep. Pure consciousness. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace. You may want to just stay in Shavasana. So I encourage you to if you'd like to. It's only if you would like to seal our practice together, then just start to make some movements with your fingertips over your thumbs and moving your toes. And you may want to stretch your arms overhead if that feels good. Just hug your legs in, giving yourself a cuddle. I encourage you to keep resting. You don't have to come up yet. Just do what you feel. If you'd like to roll over to join together for 3 Oms, or you could just let the Oms wash over you. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you so much.